It's just a really nice tonal gray. Good morning. Today is Friday morning and it is my last official day of vacation. So it's Friday morning, so I do fortunately still have the weekend, but today is the last day I'm taking off of work. It's so bittersweet. I have been off for 2 full weeks and I knew they would fly by and they sure did. But it has still been wonderful. It's been so busy with the holidays. It really has just been a whirlwind of doing so many fun things with friends, with family. Just relaxation time definitely got in. Some good craft time. It's never enough though, right? So yeah, I actually woke up kind of early this morning. It's not too early. I got up at like 7:30, which is still later than I will need to get up for work, but you know, pretty early for 2 weeks into vacation. But I don't know, I was just feeling like I didn't need to sleep anymore, which is great, right? It means you're rested, refreshed, feeling good. So I thought while the house was still quiet, I would get up, get in some knitting, some quiet time, and check in. So it's been about 2 full weeks since I've filmed any kind of vlogs. I wrapped up Vlogmas on Christmas Day. That was so much fun. It really was a lot of fun to check in every December, and then it felt weird when I got up, you know, a couple days after Christmas once things kind of settled down, and yeah, and I just wasn't turning the camera on anymore. So I thought this morning it would be nice to check in, and especially because I do have quite a bit of work planned for today, some yarn dyer work. So I've been taking it pretty easy over break. I feel like in past years that I've used some of my vacation time to get a lot of studio work done, and I thought this year I really wanted to truly rest, and then that way I can really hit the ground running, so to speak, in January. And I think that was really good. I was kind of struggling with like finding some creative inspiration, and I don't know if I was just feeling a little overwhelmed with holiday decision making. You know, you really get into that decision fatigue with shopping for so many people, meal planning for all the different events. I needed that sip of coffee. Planning events, planning surprises, planning, like I just felt like I was just planning itinerary after itinerary, you know, just wanting everything to be perfect, making sure that everyone on your list and in your life is taken care of and is having a wonderful holiday experience. Yeah, so I was just feeling a lot of kind of creative fatigue, that I would just go downstairs and I just wasn't feeling inspired to do anything new. So, you know, in times like that, it's, you know, for me it's okay because I usually have enough other work to do. I have enough twisting, labeling, and I can just get through the workflow, and that's usually exactly what I need. Like I just need a to-do list of tasks and I can get through it, and that's perfect. Or, you know, doing recipes that already exist, and again I'm following a workflow, and so that's what I did instead of doing like development work. I did end up getting one new colorway out, which was really great, and I'm so happy with that colorway, my sparkling Starlight New Year's color. Ended up making a sock set out of it. So I did do a little bit of creative work in December, but I did nothing over break. No new colors, absolutely nothing. But literally last night, and I think that's part of why I got up early today, because I kept thinking about it a little too much before I went to bed last night, and then I kept kind of waking up. I started thinking about new colors again. There's a particular green that I really, really want to have in my Empire Estate collection. I really want to have like a true deep, true dark green. And I almost want to say forest green, but I think sometimes forest greens can lean a little blue-green, and maybe a little, the tiniest blue-green could be okay, but I really don't want it to be like a spruce green, which to me, again, it has like a little too much blue and can start going teal. I want this to be true deep green, like a tartan green. And I have this green in my head, so I think I need to maybe get on like the Pantone website and see if I can get some like color swatches to start putting a visual on what's in my head, and then that'll give me you know, kind of something that I can put my eyes on, that I can aim for. Because right now it's just existing in my head, but it's very specific. And I think it would just be really beautiful, especially with the colors that already exist in that collection. So I definitely want to start adding some new colors to that collection. It's been a little bit since I've dyed anything new. I did put out one new color, November, but yeah, so it's been a little bit. So what am I doing next? So right now I am preparing for a show. So I have a show that's coming up in February. It is, offhand, I don't know the exact date. February 17th is kind of sticking out to me, but I'm not sure if that's correct. It's on a Sunday, just on Sunday. It's one day. Are you snoring? Little puppers is snoring. It's just one day. It's in Henrietta, New York. It's in the RIT Inn and Conference Center, and it's called the Tina Turner Knits Fiber Arts Festival. And it's always a really grand time. I always think it's at like the absolute perfect time. It's that February 20-ish, whatever that Sunday is. It's always that time of year that is so cold, and I swear every single year, this is gonna be my 6th year doing the show. Yeah, because I did it, I wanna say 2019. Yeah, maybe it's my 5th year then, because 2019 was the first year that I did the show. And because it's in February, we did have a 2020 show, because things had not shut down yet. But we did not have a 2021 show. I think that was because it was winter and everyone was kind of back to being icky. I believe 2021 was the year that show did not happen. Yeah, so maybe 5 years. Maybe this will be my 5th year. But this is actually the very first fiber event ever that I've ever vented at. So it always feels very special for me. It feels like a really big milestone. I kind of feel like it's when I was like formally introduced into my local fiber community. I've been selling on Etsy for about, at least my yarn. I opened my Etsy shop in 2015, but I wasn't selling yarn. I was selling my like already makeables. Already makeables? That's not a word. I need more coffee. I was selling my already crocheted items and jewelry and that kind of stuff. So it wasn't until I started dyeing my own yarn for my crocheted items that I started also listing my yarn in 2018. And that's when my Etsy shop completely turned. And now I don't even have, I technically still have an Etsy shop. I keep it open for international orders, but yeah, I don't really even have an Etsy shop anymore. But anyway, that's a long history. I'm digressing. But yeah, so I was kind of still just a year into being a yarn dyer that sold their yarn. And so this was my very first event. And it was so exciting. I had no idea what I was doing. I'd never set up a booth before. And I was just glad that at least it was local, you know, so I didn't have to like travel and go very far. So yeah, it's at such a perfect time because it's always freezing. And so every time I've ever done this event, I feel like there's always some sort of crazy weather event, whether it's like snow or wind or it's middle of February. It's gonna be wild, but it's always so cold. And it's just that perfect time to have an event like this because all you want is yarn and cozy. And so you can, there's nothing else going on. Like there's no festivals or events going on, like not just yarn related, but like just like in general. Especially in Rochester, I feel like January and February tend to get quite quiet and slow because the weather sucks. So anyway, so it's always just that like such a perfect time where like nothing's going on and you can get like, you know, re-inspired. So that's a great event. So anyway, if you're local, definitely put that on your calendar and come out. Yeah, so I am working on my Stephen West Rain or Shine blanket. I had actually started this last January as part of a Scrappy Stash Down project. And I had put it away, I think like over the summer when we were having a picnic. So like I, you know, kind of tidied it away for company and it just got, you know, buried under a pile of stuff and I forgot about it. And so now I'm trying to revisit, you know, old projects again, it being January. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot about this blanket. It's like the ultimate, it's not just a stash down project, it's like the ultimate scrap down project. So like, you know, if you've got those balls that are like 30, 40 grams, this project is so perfect with it for it. So like you start with like, I guess depending on how many repeats you want for each color. Right now I'm just doing one repeat per color because I have found so many colors. I have 40 different colors in this thing right now. And so obviously like the first color, like what did I use? Like 2 grams of yarn. There's like nothing because there's just like these 2 little stripes. And then I think by the time I got to like here, yeah, I think about here, so all of these were mini skeins, and then once I got to about here, I started to need more than 20 grams, just because like the size of the blanket just started to get too big. So this is where it starts to get to where I needed like then 30 grams, or really I just needed like 25 grams, and I think now I'm in like the 30 gram range. But yeah, so that's why it's like such a great like scrappy project. And I haven't figured out what I want to do for the other side, so I'm still increasing. So you increase until it's the size that you want it to be, and then you decrease. So I'm still increasing, and I have pulled out 45 colors. I'm on color 40. And as once I got to color 45, I was gonna kind of figure out how big this thing is and then decide from there, you know, am I done? Am I going to start decreasing? But I haven't figured out, do I want to start repeat? Originally, I was going to just repeat. So like this color that I use nothing of, I was going to do the first decrease, but I'm not going to have enough because this was a mini skein and I'm going to need like 35 grams. So now I'm thinking I might have to do like a mirror to where I just start using like just going back, so it's like a mirror. Or I try to find, there's no way I could find like 45 different scraps. That would be crazy. So it's a marl, so you hold 2 strands of yarn together and you drop just one color at a time, so you get this really fun marl effect. So the other thing I thought of was I could at least move around the order, so you kind of fool the eye a little bit into, you know, like if I just at least like kind of move these around, they'll look a little bit different until I can get back to mini skeins. I don't know, I feel like now I'm just rambling, but I haven't figured out how I want to order colors for the decreasing side yet. But it's so much fun, and this is such a great project again for using up those scraps, because I don't know about you, but like I just have, so here's the basket that I am working from, and this is a basket that I actually crocheted specifically for this project using scraps. So I love that I made a scrappy stash basket for my scrappy stash blanket. And so I put these on a string because I wanted to keep them in a certain order, but like I've got mini skeins in here from advents of Christmas pasts. Ooh, there's a skein of yarn in here. It was all the way at the bottom. Ooh, so maybe I can put this in next. So sometimes, some of these I think are full skeins of yarn, but at one point like I had caked them up for a project and just for whatever reason never gotten to them. So they're just cakes that have been sitting in my stash, no label. So anything that's just kind of like this, like a little orphan cake with no label, I don't even know what you are. Honestly, I think this might have been a test die. Now that I'm looking at this, this was a test die, so I think I do know what it is. But so yeah, that's why it doesn't have a label. But I feel like this is like the biggest thing, is when, you know, you just have these skeins that you've used in a project and now you just have 20, 30, 40, 50 grams left over, and you know, what do you do with that little amount? There's so many mini skein projects, so okay, if you've got 20 grams, fine. And when you have maybe 50 grams and above, that's enough. But I always feel like that kind of 30 and 40 gram is just such an awkward amount, because you're going to be left over with like too much, and there's really never enough to like do something significant with. So anyway, so this I'm hoping is a good project to kind of start, you know, using up these kind of third skeins. And so any kind of color that I thought would look really pretty in here, I've just been throwing them in here, and then I've been cataloging my order in case I want to revisit it with these popsicle sticks. And then so I just write my color order on the popsicle stick. And then once I have used it, I put it in this plastic baggie, because like I said, I'm at color 40. I've planned 45. So I've been putting them in these plastic bags and then putting them in a different basket because they did not even fit. So this is my like to go, like these are planned for next, and these are done. And then all those mini skeins at the bottom, originally I had planned to do this whole thing in mini skeins, so I had ordered 90 mini skeins and put them on that string, but then I quickly realized when I got to about row 28 that the mini skeins weren't large enough. So that's when I had to go to plan B of finding my orphan cakes that were at least 25 grams and then 30 grams. Anyway, so that's where I am now. But this project has just been wonderful. It's very mindless, so I plan to keep this next to the couch at least until I have company over again. It gets hidden away, but I plan to keep it next to the couch so that I can continue just to work on this at night, you know, a couple rows. There's no rush to get this done. But yeah, just that kind of very easy knitting for Netflix and all the things. It's a pattern that's very easy to memorize, and it's essentially mostly garter. You do a purl row every like 7 rows. You got to do 1 purl row, but other than that, it's easy breezy. Yeah, so I am going to continue to sit and knit until the rest of the family gets up, and then I think I'm gonna start heading downstairs and dyeing some yarn because I want to do some color development today. I want to start working out that green, so I'm probably gonna pull out some mini skeins and start off with some working with my mason jars and the mini skeins, and just start combining some colors and seeing if I can dial in. I think I hear some waking, and see if I can start to dial in that color that has been haunting me, literally haunting my dreams. I think it's going to be a magnificent addition to the Empire Estate collection if I can get it. Anyway, I'll see you downstairs. Good morning from the dye room. It is Saturday morning. It is actually the next day now. I was able to pop down here yesterday after I had some nice knitting time, and I soaked a ton of Empire Estate yarn for dyeing today. And that's what I'm doing now. So Empire Estate is my New York State yarn. So it is 100% sourced, produced, dyed in New York State. So it's sourced from a single farm in central New York. It's from Ellie's Acres Farm in central New York. And then it's spun at Bat and Kill Fiber, that's in Greenwich, New York. And then of course dyed by me here in Fairport, New York. And by the way, my name is Meg, and welcome to my YouTube channel, because I don't think I even introduced who I was or what you were watching yesterday. So maybe I'll film a better little snippet intro for and clip that into the beginning of this whole thing. So I'm just doing a little weekend dyers vlog for January. It is the first official weekend in January 2025, and I'm spending it the best way. Knitting, dyeing yarn, doing all the things that I love. Yeah, so yesterday I thought I was going to get a little bit of actual dyeing done, not just yarn prep. But ended up popping over to my mom's house, spending some good quality time with my mom. And then we got to running errands, and I didn't get home until like 9 o'clock, so that was not going to happen. So today I am definitely dyeing yarn. I hustle down here first thing in the morning. I'm drinking my coffee. I love morning coffee. So today I am working on some restocks on my Empire State, but I am especially working on adding some new colors to the collection. So the first new color that I wanted to add to the collection is not a new color to my shop, but it is a new color to the Empire State collection, and it is the Witching Hour. So the Witching Hour is just a really great all-around, really dark gray. It's almost black, but not so black it's difficult to knit with or crochet with. But it's just a really nice tonal gray. And it's one of those great base colors that it just pairs well with everything. It's beautiful on its own if you were going to do a sweater in it. And then it just especially matches pretty much any color that you can think of because it's gray. So I wanted to get some more neutrals into the collection so that there was a little bit more pairing options for putting together sweaters and accessories and whatnot. So I'm working on lots and lots of the Witching Hour, and then in the other room I actually have some mason jar experiments set up because I am going to start working on some new color development. So I had talked about it yesterday where I've had this kind of dark green in my head, and I think I'm narrowing it down. So I think it's somewhere between these two colors. This is probably really close, and I know the lighting in my basement's terrible, but this is really close, but I still feel like this is just like too bright. Like this is still too like spring emeraldy green, and I want dark, mysterious winter emerald green. And this one is close, but I think it still is just a little too blue leaning. But it's got that deep dark depth that I want. So I'm gonna play around with combining these two recipes together in different concentrations to see where we end up, because I think somewhere in the middle of these two recipes is that perfect color. And then I do also want to add some lighter greens to the collection. This is actually my kiwi color that does exist already, but I was playing around with kind of adding some yellow to it. I just thought it was just a nice color shift. So playing around with that a little bit. And I just like, when I compare it to the colors that are in the collection, I feel like this goes better with the colors that are in the collection. But the kiwi also goes really well, and there's like no greens in the collection. So I don't know. So I feel like these are too close to do both, but trying to figure that out what to do. But I think I'm going to do some more mini experiments and actually play around even with darkening up kiwi a little bit to see where I land with that. And I want to add a light blue to the collection as well. And once again, I kind of have a very specific color in my head, and it's close to this. But I think I need like a little bit more green almost. So this is way too bright, and this is like too pastel. So again, I think I'm going to play around with combining these two recipes to see where I can get in the middle. Yeah, so if you can imagine a color in between those two colors and that color and a color in between these two colors, that's what's going to be coming to the shop. this would like be a beautiful mini skein set. Oh my gosh. Like just, isn't that like just a beautiful color combination just as it is? Huh. Might have to play around with that. But yeah, so I feel like these three colors, that this, somewhere around this, and this is what I'm hoping to add to the Empire Estate collection. So that's what I'm working on today. So I'm excited, super excited. It's starting to get hot down here. Woo! Steaming up. Yeah. So I think I'm going to tend to my pans. These are ready for a flippy, and then I can take you over to the mason jars and we can play with some experiments. Just set up a pan, and I actually filmed a complete start to finish tutorial on how I dye mini skeins in mason jars. So I'm not gonna really, this isn't a tutorial, this is a vlog, so I'm not really gonna like go into depth into like how I'm doing this. I'm just kind of showing you when I'm experimenting, when I'm trying to dial in a colorway, this is a technique that I use to really help really dial in that very specific color that I'm trying to get, because I have all these targets and I'm close, but I'm just not quite there. So I'm gonna start with that green, the one that is haunting my dreams. I feel like I need to call it like Haunted Forest or something like that. Forest of Dreams, or yeah. So I have two different dyes mixed up, and let's see here, what are these recipes? Okay, so yeah, so first I need my notebook. The most important thing with this is taking really good notes, because at the end I'm going to have all these mini skeins, and I need to make sure that once they're all like mixed together, that I'm going to be able to identify exactly which mini skein is which recipe. So one of the ways that I do that is by using different colored ribbons, and then writing down specifically like which recipe goes with which color ribbon, so that when I know, because in the end, like, they just get put into a wash bucket, and I might have 20, 30, 50, literally 50 of these sometimes, and I'm like, okay, what recipe are you? And it's the absolute worst when you have finally found the perfect one and you were sloppy with your notes or your marking scheme, and now you cannot figure out what recipe it was, and you have to go back and redo your experiment to figure that out. So take good notes, mark your skeins. You will thank yourself later. And then afterwards, when everything is dry, I just use like these little sales tags too. I write the recipe just on these little sales tags so that that way I know exactly like what is this. I haven't done it yet with this one because this one was still so new. So this one still has its marking tag, but I need to put its identification tag on it for sure quickly so it does not get lost in the pile, especially once I have a brand new batch that might have the same color tag on it. Okay, so I'm going to start off with just doing a straight combine of this exact recipe to this exact recipe, and kind of see what that looks like. And then I'm going to play around with like dialing around with like adding a little bit of less of one color, a little bit more of one color. And I use these syringes to measure. I'll use this as my rinse bucket. And these are just 100% Superwash Mini Skeins. So they're the same Mini Skeins that I use for my Mini Skein sets. They're Superwash, so they should take the dye pretty quickly. And I just had them soaking for maybe about a half hour. These aren't Mini Skeins I'm going to sell, so I really just need to see the color. I'm not as concerned about doing a meticulous dye job. I just need to see the color and have something that I can use as a reference point for later. I like having this color collection of visual recipes. I'm a very visual person. I need to be able to see my recipes. And this is such a great way. Yeah, you can see how quickly like Superwash yarn strikes, like how clear that water is almost compared to if you go back and watch my tutorial. I did that one with non-Superwash yarn, and non-Superwash yarn just takes much longer to strike, so those ones took a little bit of time. Okay, so this was a yellow tag. So I need to write my notes. Actually, I wonder if I have enough. I'm actually going to do that same. I have to mix up more of this. Ah. I'm going to set up another one with that same amount, but I'm going to be adding different amounts of the other color. I'm gonna need a lot more of this green. This one's getting a blue tag. I'm gonna go mix up a lot more of this green. It is Sunday. We made it through the whole weekend. So I ended up dyeing, I think, close to 30 mini skeins. I had to dip into another package of mini skeins, and I'm so excited about all the results. So I got everything washed last night and put on the drying rack and had the fan blasting on it because I wanted to see all of these colors so that I could make my decisions and potentially start dyeing some of the new colors right away. And so I wanted to show you how some of these experiments came out, because now I have to pick, and picking is so hard. There are so many just slight variations between all of the colors, and they're all so good. So I don't know how I'm gonna pick. And I feel like there's so many great color combinations that are coming out of this as well that I think I'm going to be putting together some new mini skein kits as well. So I'm going to turn the camera around to the yarn so that we can talk about the results. So up here I have my entire current collection of Empire Estate. So Empire Estate is my New York State yarn. So I have Limelight, I have Red Haven, Empire, She Wore Red Velvet, Ontario, Lost in the Maze Maze, Pumpkin Spice, Midnight Fig, Little Black Dress, Bare Naked, and then this is the one that I'm adding to the collection that I dyed yesterday. So this is the Witching Hour. So I don't have a full-size skein that's dry yet. So I wanted to pull all of these out so that I could see how the new colors play with the current color family. So these are all of the experiments that we did. So the first decision that I wanted to make was whether to add, this is my current colorway, Kiwi. Do I want to add Kiwi to this collection? Or did I want to potentially yellow it up a little bit? This is actually not my yarn. This is yarn that I pulled from my stash. I don't even know who it's from. It doesn't even have a label. It looks like it's a 50-gram skein. I've had it in my stash for a while, but I really love the color. It's a little bit gold, it's a little brassy, and I like how it's got some really brilliant color, but it's still also kind of a neutral. So it's very pretty, but it's very close to my Kiwi color that I just don't know if I have the bandwidth to have both of these colors in the collection. But so Kiwi, when I am trying to, put kits together for customers or for myself, I mean, look at Kiwi with Ontario or Empire. I'm just yes. It goes so well. So that's why I'm I think it belongs in this collection. It really goes well. And it definitely goes well with the moodier colors as well. So yeah, so I'm kind of I think it's in. But when I compare it to that, I'm oh my gosh, look at those two together. I don't know, maybe it's just the way I like these two together. It just really kicks this one's ass. Look at this color combo. It just adds such an interesting element. It's just different. Okay. So, I don't know. I feel like I'm still not ready to make a decision of whether should Kiwi be in the collection. We definitely need a green. I mean, the only green that I have in this collection right now is Limelight, and it's a pretty springy, which spring is just around the corner again, but it's a very light green. It's definitely meant to add pops to your project. But that's the only green I have in the collection. I don't have any big, bold, strong greens. So that's definitely what I want to add to the collection. I wanted to add a dark green and a mid green. So this would be my mid green. So I definitely feel like I was able to match this color. So I definitely was able to work out a recipe where that's a pretty close match. And so these were all of my different tests to not just match, but also see if, you know, maybe we could come up with a new color. So that's the match. This is actually my sample of kiwi. So I'll put those there. So can we then, you know, maybe come up with a color that's kind of representative of both of them, you know, something in the middle. So, you know, instead of picking one or the other, is there a color that falls a little bit in between the two? So they're different variations of the recipes of both kiwi and this new color. You know, can we find a new color? And so looking at this, I can say like this color I just find kind of ugly. That just clashes in a way that I just don't think fits my aesthetic. This color, I really like. It's kind of like it's really interesting. It's like a mossy green. It's got a lot of interest in it. It's a combination of 4 different dyes, so you definitely get a lot of that depth, a lot of interest. It definitely would look really well with Midnight Fig, really well with Lost in the Maze. Oh my gosh, look at it with black. That's stunning. Those two, oh my gosh, the peach. Ooh, that's really gorgeous too. So I feel like that is a contender as well. So the next color that I was working on yesterday was the color that has literally been haunting my dreams. I have been wanting a very well saturated, very dark, bold hunter meets spruce green. Something that alludes to a haunted forest. So I was working with a lot of dark colors, mixing greens and blacks. I did want a tiny touch of blue just to kind of bring in that evergreen element, but I really wanted a true green. I didn't want something that was super blue, so I feel like this right away to me is just a little too blue leaning for just what I had envisioned. I think that this is a stunning color. Oh wow. Ugh. I'm saying this and I'm like, it literally slaps with every single color in this collection. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I might be eating my words just because it literally matches every single color in this collection. But the color I had in my head wasn't as blue as this. The color I had in my head was more of a true green. So these colors ended up coming out pretty similarly. I was really just making very tiny micro adjustments to kind of just how much green versus black. I mixed a couple different greens together, so I was really just making tiny micro adjustments. And you can see like this one, I do like the way that you can kind of see like the different depths of the green. It's very pretty. But I think it's just too bright for what I wanted, for what my vision was for this. Like this is absolutely gorgeous, and this I think would be a beautiful potential spring color. That's like such a perfect like shamrock green. Obsessed. So, but this one, so I think this one right now is the winner. It's deep, dark. It's like you can see there's little bits of black. There's lots of different shades of green in there, but there's still just a slightly subtle hint of blue, but it's so subtle. especially when you compare it to the one that, knocking the camera over, especially when you compare it to the skein that has a lot more of that teal added to it. So, okay, so now, yes, don't love it. Yes. Oh my gosh, obsessed. Oh, wow. Look at those two to color. I can't even talk. This literally took my words away. Look at those two colors together. Like, that is just royalty. Absolute royalty. Ooh. That's really good as well. Oh, so yeah, I feel like this is the color I had in my head. This is the color. But I guess where I struggle is that this one looks good with every single base. I think it's really just this one that it's not that like this green doesn't look good with it. It's just that that little hint of blue just looks better. But it's just one color in the whole collection. Everything else is just, wow. Yes. Oh, I like, oh my goodness. I'm so happy because I've had this color in my head for so long. So I'm going with it. This is the color I've wanted. And I'm so excited. So this one's definitely coming into the collection. So let's see how this looks with these, because, oh my goodness. Wow. So I don't know if I love it with that. It looks really good with both of these colors. I can't pick between these two. I don't know what to do. But look at these two together. I might just have to do both. What do you think? So then the last color is I wanted to bring in kind of a more springy blue, or even kind of thinking of like ahead to summer, bringing in more blues to the collection. So I was just playing around with some blues. I feel like I'm about to bring in a lot of greens, so maybe I'll put this one on hold just for now until I figure out what I'm doing with that green. But I did a whole bunch of different experiments with different combinations of some blue, and just kind of wanted to get a really just kind of soft, I really like this one. Again, I just kind of had an idea in my head for like a certain, oh my gosh, that combination looks really sharp together. Yeah, these two colors are pretty close. I think this one is just a little bit more of a stronger recipe, which I do like it a bit more saturated. But this kind of like grayish blue is also really pretty. Look at how beautiful this is with the pumpkin spice. It's so hard to make these decisions because I can't have every color in the collection. I just don't have that amount of time to be, you know, keeping everything in stock. I love this color, but it doesn't really flow as well with this collection. But these four is like a mini skein set. That looks so good together. See, this is what I do all day. I just start building mini skein sets. Yeah, so I don't know what I'm going to do with this blue color. I feel like that might be on hold, at least for now. Maybe I'll play around a little bit with like this, more of this shade to get something. I wanted something just lighter because I feel like I have, I only have dark. I've got a very dark, bold blue, and then I have more of like an aqua teal blue, but I don't have any low light blues. So I wanted something that, you know, was a little lower, a little more lighter to give more contrast options. Ooh, that's nice. So yeah, might have to come back to the drawing table for my blue. But that is all of yesterday, so I definitely have some decision making to do. I will probably start on my hunter green first because I have made that decision. And yeah, and then I still have to figure out, oh, what am I going to do between, I might have to make a green mini skein set. What do you guys think? These colors are just so good. So then I still have to make that decision of what I'm going to do about, do I bring in kiwi? Or do I do this yellow? So let me know in the comments what you think I should do.